Welcome to SBA Today for the week of October 21st, 2024, where our motto is likely helpful, definitely entertaining. Tanya, how are you? And what are we talking about today?
Well, Paul, I am well, and we are talking about, let's see here, we've got the loan disaster fund. Empty. You're going to talk obviously about the differences between the working capital program and the CapLine. Thank goodness. I think we need some more information on that. And we're going to have a discussion on the industry experience. So what industry experience do you look for whenever looking at, borrowers and what they're trying to do, as well as have you heard? Paul keeps changing the name of this because
I just don't like it.
I still don't like it. I think people should just give us a name for this of have you heard. So when you get to it, you'll see and maybe throw a name in there. Anyway, but first I wanted to talk a little bit about, so we always go into, to different things. And I tend to like to bring up business things, but that also have some sort of a personal or, what goes on in our lives and how it kind of transfers over into business. Well, this week I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of the good cop, bad cop.
Ooh.
Yeah. None of us ever do that, right?
Never.
But the good cop, bad cop. So let's say, whether you're in a relationship and you're raising children, let's just talk about children, whether you're raising them together in the same household or you're raising them separate, doesn't really matter. I mean, it's still two different people with two different ideas, right? In raising my kids, I always felt like I was the bad cop. Now, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. A lot of my reasons behind that, I think some of it's mom related maybe, and some of it's just the way I was raised. And the way I was raised, I really wanted to teach my kids how to be good humans, right? I wanted them to have friends. I wanted them to get out into the real world at some point and not have issues based on, maybe challenges that were or were not discussed as they were growing up when we had a little more control as to what they were doing. Kind of like, oh yeah, don't touch that hot pan. I might have got a little passionate about that. Well, there was a reason, obviously, right? But how that translates over into business is a couple of different directions or a couple of different ways. Servicing your clients, right? So let's say the back office reaches out to you to reach out to your client because they've tried to get a hold of them and they can't. Well, they're the bad cops. So you can kind of step in at that point and be the good cop. But this is why we need the information, blah, blah, blah. You can help between the front end and the back end when it comes to your clients. The other one would be in-house deals or working with your team. So let's say your team has an issue, Paul. I know, right? So if your team has an issue, you're going to step in with back office and you're going to be the bad cop. You don't want them to be the bad cop. You want them to have a relationship with the underwriters and credit and whatnot. So if something goes awry and there's an issue that needs discussed, one, you step in as the bad cop. But obviously we do it, with the idea of keeping that communication and those lines of communication, I guess, with back office open. So we don't get too crazy. Now, I want to talk about deals, however. So I had one recent, and whether it's an in-house deal that you have an issue with back office because they're doing whatever they're doing, right? And they've got their reasons. You got to step in. Let's say sometimes you're the good cop, sometimes you're the bad. Well, I had one that we declined the deal and I was able to send it elsewhere, right? And they're able to get it done. However, in the interim of when they got the deal and they were already looking at it, it was already in underwriting and it was approved. The borrower made some changes to their personal financial statement.
Huh.
So I get the call basically from the other party, and they're like, and I've worked with these guys for a long time, so I know them. So I might have gotten a wee bit passionate, direct, or whatever you might want to call it, right? You can't do this. You can't make changes. You can't sell collateral. You can't move. You can't do that. Here's what happens. That bank is going to get a red flag or a taste in their mouth that you're doing it for the wrong reason. It's no different than what I'm trying to teach my kids way back when of, apologize on the playground after punching that kid, not saying, oh, gee, good for you for punching him. It's like, well, what was the reason? You talk about it, blah, blah, blah. You go back to him, whatever, right? Teaching them the reason behind why you do something, right? Anyway, so with this deal, I got to be the bad cop. Yeah. I think they got a little mad at me because I got a little bit passionate. But I think whenever you're a loan officer, and if you're a borrower out there and you've got a loan officer that gets really passionate as to what they're telling you to do moving forward and whatnot, typically that means you've got a good loan officer because they care and they're being direct and they don't care how they look if it's going to help you further yourself and move yourself forward. Anyway, that's mine.
Amen. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. So what you got for us?
Well, hey, so let's jump into the news here. A couple things. Well, kids, the EIDL is out of money. That is definitely not a good thing politically or for the people who need the money down in Florida after the hurricanes. I called up my source at the SBA to get a little bit of information because you always got to have a friend in every little area. And they were told that they are working hard to get Congress to pass a new bill for additional funds. The applications are still being taken and are being processed first come, first serve. So even though there's no money, get in line. It's like Disneyland. Get in line and wait.
Yeah.
So submit your application now. So again, I know we are mostly 7A lenders, but I just wanted to share that because it's kind of a big deal right now for our friends who are suffering down in the Panhandle area.
You can take that a step further too, Paul, and all of you that are trying to get deals done when it comes to the potential government shutdown come December 20th. Don't wait because you don't know what's going to happen, or don't wait because you think it's not going to happen. Yep. Get yourself in line, because even if it does, there's still going to be backup. There's going to be a wait list. There's going to be things, that's going to take time. So go ahead and get yourself in there, even if it happens.
That is true.
Yeah.
So our next topic is a little bit kind of an update again on the working capital pilot program. And we've been talking a lot about this just because, again, SBA doesn't come out with a whole lot of new products. And when they do, we need to really make sure that everyone understands this. I had the opportunity to talk with John Brislin and Gail Rumbaugh, who is sorry, I was reading a comment.
I got thrown by that too. I was like,
yeah, I know. No, geez, I wish I could retry it. No. So they are great leaders within the working capital program, and I enjoyed talking with them. And again, last week we kind of talked about them kind of only doing 10 deals. What I want to get is I wanted to get some answers from them on kind of like what is it that we can do, and most importantly, what are some of the big differences between the CapLine and the working capital pilot program? That's what I've definitely found being very interesting. So the first one I want to make sure we are very clear on is fees. Yeah. This is a huge deal because rather than having one large upfront, you have an annual fee. So it's a lot easier to manage rather than that initial upfront large dollar amount. That's a big deal. And I love that they did that. LIBOR can be used. A lot of institutions do that. I don't even know who LIBOR is. I'm kidding. My institution.
Are you talking libel? You're saying libel, right?
Yeah. We're prime lenders, and I think most places are. But again, you can use that, which sometimes does give you a little bit lower of a rate if you do use LIBOR. Mm-hmm. There's no restrictions on export, how much export, how much import. So that is definitely an important thing there. Rates are much more straightforward than the CapLine program, which they made it very easy. So thank you very much for that. And again, I think the most important thing is the relationship product. This is really a relationship product when it comes to all the other services your institution offers. And this is a great thing there. You can use this for government contracts, for one contract or multiple. And they are coming out with some marketing on this, on the CapLine versus the working capital program. And I think that is a very useful thing that I look forward to doing. So just I really wanted to make sure we were understanding that there's the working capital piece, and then there's the transaction based working capital program. That from my understanding is that the CapLine still has its purpose, and it does have its purpose, but this new program really does help in a big way, getting that working capital funds out there. One thing that I asked them was, what do you want lenders to know about this product? And a couple things. One is take the training. SBA came out with 3 or 4 different trainings out there that you can get on the sba.gov page. I listened to all of them. It's really good, and I really recommend you taking an hour of your day and going through that. And most importantly, they said, work with your other departments to see if they have clients that have the asset-based lending need, and get them to partner with your SBA department. That's a very interesting thing there. Yeah. And a lot of business export, even a lot of businesses export, period. It may be a small little part, but it's exporting. Let's get some credit for that and use those tools. So I want to thank both of them for their time and making sure that we're clear on this program, and let's do a lot more than 10 loans as a nation on this, and let's really work this program. So
I think a lot of people, especially on the international or any of the export, whatever, I think people have consistently felt like there was a percentage or a certain amount that you have to be doing to use any of those programs, and there isn't. So, I mean, because that's the same with the ITL, cross that over. There's no percentage or no specific amount on that either. And I think most people think that there is. So that's really good to know. But all right, well, let's talk about industry experience. Now, this is going to be a fun one. And we'd love for you guys to put some stuff out there as far as what you see. And what we're talking about is when you get a borrower and they're saying, oh, I've got this industry experience, and this is either transferable, or this is why I want to do this, or blah, 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 right? What would you do? Okay. Anyway, so they work for a bank, but they want to buy a wholesale business. Well, what do you think, Paul?
This one's interesting. There was a little bit of a business ownership prior to the person working at a bank. So there's a little bit there. And also, I think what's important is, what are they doing at the bank that causes to have those skills that move over to the business? I would want a lot more detail on this, but it would be something that I would at least entertain a conversation on.
See, and that's been a lot of the ones that I'm going to bring up here. There's always the what ifs in everything, right? So it's not just, typically it's not, not always, but typically it's not just an absolutely no or an absolutely yes. Okay, so a MBA, Master's of Business Administration person, somebody that has their MBA wants to buy a franchise. Now, okay, so I'll just kind of go on this one. Again, that's going to depend. What's their other experience other than just the MBA? Well, an MBA, I mean, that's going to give them a lot of business experience and whatnot. But is that a skill that particularly transfers over? It's information and it's knowledge that transfers over. But I think they're going to have a little bit more than just backing it by an MBA to buy a franchise. Thoughts, Paul?
I'm actually going to go a different route on this.
Good. Let's hear it.
I am going to say absolutely. I'm interested in this because of two things.
Oh, the franchise.
MBA wants to buy, let's just say, a business that's not a franchise. I have a lot more questions.
Agreed.
But the power of the franchise is you get an SOP, you get training, you get trained that franchise's way. Well, you put the MBA skills with the franchise.
There you go. Well,
I'm open. That's why we're having this conversation.
That makes absolute and total sense because again, there's going to be two different ways to look at it. And I agree with that as well. Okay. Construction company wants to buy an electrical company. For me, I would say Yes, for the most part. There's reasons though. So the construction
Synergy.
company, are they already working with this electrical company? What is their, are they in the network? Do they already know who these guys work with? How long have they worked with them? Because then that gives them the edge because they're already in the industry itself, those crossover, even though they're different. Now, I would ask who's going to be their master electrician and things like that because of the different licensings. So, how are you putting that into play? Do you have somebody that you're bringing in? Is there going to be a key man? Whatever. I would be asking those questions as well. And you?
Yeah. I 100% agree. That's got synergy written all over it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. IT professional with an MBA. You like the MBA because this is one of your questions. IT professional with MBA wants to buy a bakery. I'm just going to say up front, very challenging for me. I'd have so many questions, but I'll let you start this one.
This is that's a live one, by the way.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting. I think the business mind helps in a big way. The bakery side is where I probably have some of the issues.
Right.
IT professional wants to buy. It's very specific, right? This person is very strong financially. Okay. I know, right? Like it's hard. And this is why I'm doing this exercise with you, Todd, is because nothing in this world is black and white. And every deal we get is gray as hell.
So here's a funny one, right? I had one as well. And mine happened to be, I did not win it, mind you. So I did all the talking and all this fun stuff. But honestly, it was a little better than me or my product. And so it happened to be an ex-NFL player.
Oh.
That wanted to open a Nothing Bundt Cakes in his hometown.
Franchise.
Now, I liked it. I really, really liked it. And here's my reasoning behind that one. You've got your name, right? A lot of these ex-players and whatnot, they've got a network, they've got a name. They use that name, they use that for marketing and whatnot. So it helps with the marketing. So I like that piece. The second piece, in their hometown. Very well known, very well respected in their hometown, whatever. Third, it's a franchise. And who the heck doesn't like Nothing Bundt Cakes?
That's true. They are pretty good. They are pretty good.
I gotta make myself drive by that place so I won't eat the daggum things because I have no off switch with sugar.
Yeah, it's true.
My girlfriends laugh at me, man. Like, don't give me one because then I want the box. Anyway, so I like that
one comment on there on our chat. Samuel said bakery equals sales, processes, and finance, and it's true. Like, I mean. Most businesses are sales, processes, finance. At the end of the day, you're making a widget. Doesn't matter what the widget is. Yeah, good point. Thanks, Amy.
And that's true. I mean, as long as they know the process. I mean, there's a different thing too. Is like, who are they hiring? What is their experience in the hiring? What is their experience in that type of industry? A bakery, that the thing with it, I mean, if it's a franchise, you've got your recipes and all that. That would make me a heck of a lot more comfortable than somebody that's like, I want to use my mother's old Polish recipe for whatever and create something. That's more challenging for me.
Yep, true.
So, all right. Thank you, Samuel, for that comment. Okay, a lawyer wants to buy a brewery.
Oh, God.
I may have had this. Go ahead. No,
I know their entity is going to be set up perfectly. I don't know. I don't know. There's got to be a story. Have they brewed before? Is it a group of lawyers that on the weekend brew beer as a hobby and they sell it and this is kind of a next stage?
That's always a freaking question that you should ask when it comes to a brewery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is their experience
you know how to make stuff.
Because breweries are they are very interconnected. It's amazing how all brewery owners know all the other brewery owners and they actually help each other. my
True.
cat, whatever broke down, they will let them go over elsewhere, and they share. It's really a neat industry whenever you kind of figure it out. But yeah, a lawyer doing that, it's like, it's going to be, what's their experience? Who do they have doing it? Who is the, what's the group, or what is the, do they have a consultant in the industry? What do they know in the industry? There's going to be more than just the fact that they're a lawyer. That's not enough for me. That's just not enough for me.
A resume is not going to tell you everything.
A resume doesn't tell me much. I mean, it helps.
Yeah. I mean, I drink beer. Does that count?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say no, because that's my, I'm going to be the bad cop. No.
Oh, no. Okay.
All right. So a personal trainer wants to buy a gym.
Yeah.
Online and wants to do a storefront.
I would want to know why global audience do a little retail. Like what about that area says that you are just going to kill it in that area?
Location.
Agreed.
Well, and then there's such a difference too, I think, because when you're online, you're doing a lot. You're not having to worry oftentimes of where you're storing the product. Typically, it's people are buying and it's being shipped directly from whomever you're, getting the product from. You don't have to worry about how much you got to buy when, what's got to be kept in there. Employees for the most part. I mean, so there's just a difference in the storefront versus. So I'd want more questions, but I wouldn't turn it away. I would absolutely ask questions and see.
Right.
So, anyway, yeah. All right.
That was fun. We'll have to do that again.
Is there anybody else? Oh, don't. I just like that one. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and I think should we do the have you heard?
Let's skip that let's work on that next week. I want to be respectful of time.
All right, let's do that. All right. So then I guess that calls us to the end. If you want the news as soon as it breaks, watch us here Tuesday mornings, LinkedIn and or YouTube or any of the streaming platforms where you get your podcast. If you've got something for us to talk about, comment in either of our LinkedIns, which will be in the show notes. If you're a business or prospective borrower in some way, shape, or form, go ahead and reach out to Paul Long at Gisa Credit Union. And that's for anything over there in Washington, Oregon, or Idaho. If you are Colorado, Texas, Missouri, Florida, Arizona, I'm going to have to make a song out of this.
North Carolina
or Tennessee, reach out to me, Tanya Mazurek at Midwest Regional Bank. And like I said, our info's in the show notes. And if you are a passionate SBA professional, go ahead and check out our other family of podcasts, the BDO Show and the Art of SBA Lending. That's it for us today.
Have a great day.
Have a great day in the SBA. See you guys.